As a child, I think I had it pretty good. I was in a loving family. I was a happy child. I had lots of great experiences, good friends. I did great in school. I really had, in my mind, no need for anything that smacked of religion. In fact, what I saw of religion, I just thought was pretty offensive. I thought it was people who maybe like were emotionally crippled or didn't like think, maybe they just weren't very intelligent. Maybe they, believed some myth that they were taught and never thought to question it. So I had no need of religion, and I basically didn't think very much of people who had need of religion. As I was growing up, I met some people who I thought were pretty smart and interesting. They seemed to really have their lives together. I thought I had my life together too, but and they were also religious. And in fact, they were Christians who thought that the question of Christianity was also an intellectual one as well as one of the heart. And they kept inviting me to church. I never wanted to go to church. I thought, I don't want to wear the clothes people wore to church. I actually feigned stomach aches on Sundays for about 6 weeks before they stopped inviting me and realized that I didn't really want to go to church. But then they said to me that it doesn't matter so much whether you go to church or not. What matters is what you believe. Have you ever read the Bible? And I said, no. I just believed the Bible was wrong without having read it. And it occurred to me that that was actually kind of an inconsistent intellectual position, right? To think that I was so well educated and knew about the Bible, but I actually hadn't read it. So I figured I could fix that. So I got a Bible and decided I would read through the Bible in a year, one of those Bibles with the little check marks in it, so you could check off the 4 books a day you read or whatever. And so I started reading the Bible, and I realized as I was reading it, actually I started in Proverbs, that there was incredible wisdom in there. And I, who thought, religious people were so stupid, had to acknowledge that there was a lot for me to learn from what I was reading there. So I read on, and I actually wound up rereading the Bible every year for about 10 years, actually. And during the course of that reading, because each time I read, I got something that I'd missed the time before, I think there was a gradual change taking place in me. Certainly, I realized right away that my intellectual doubts were largely based on, ironically, on myths of society. Sometimes people accuse religious people of believing in myths. I think maybe the greater myth is in our society that, religion is not based on anything solid. And what I was finding was what was in the Bible was actually based on a lot of solid historical events and a lot of incredibly brilliant and wise instruction and knowledge and experience that I certainly couldn't dismiss as non-intellectual or as non-relevant to my life.
So, I've heard you speak about your journey in finding faith.
Sure.
And how you discovered some wisdoms about life and beyond from reading the Bible. Mm-hmm. And I've also heard you say that you said scientists too often assume that nothing exists beyond what can be currently measured.
Mm-hmm. Materialism and
right?
scientism. Yeah.
So in some sense, this assumption enables the near-term scientific method, assuming that we can uncover the mysteries of this world by the mechanisms of measurement that we currently have. But we easily forget that we've made this assumption. Right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think we miss out on by making that assumption? That
It's fine to limit the scientific method to things we can measure and reason about and reproduce. That's fine. I think we have to recognize that sometimes we scientists also believe in things that happen historically. Mm-hmm. Like I believe the Holocaust happened. I can't prove events from past history scientifically. You prove them with historical evidence, right? With the impact they had on people, with eyewitness testimony and things like that. So a good thinker recognizes that science is one of many ways to get knowledge. It's not the only way. And there's been some really bad philosophy and bad thinking recently, you can call it scientism, where people say science is the only way to get to truth. And it's not. It just isn't. There are other ways that work also, like knowledge of love with someone. You don't prove your love through science, right? So history, philosophy, love, a lot of other things in life show us that there's more ways to gain knowledge and truth, if you're willing to believe there is such a thing, and I believe there is, than science. I am a scientist, however, and in my science, I do limit my science to the things that the scientific method can do. But I recognize that it's myopic to say that that's all there is.
Right. There's, just like you listed, there's all the why questions. And really, we know, if we're being honest with ourselves, the percent of what we really know is basically zero relative to the full mystery of the
measure theory, the set of measure zero. If I have a finite amount of knowledge, which I do.
So you said that you believe in truth. So let me ask that old question. What do you think this thing is all about?
I think there's a grand adventure, and I think this life is a part of it. I think there's a lot more to it than meets the eye and the heart and the mind and the soul here. I think we see but through a glass dimly in this life. We see only a part of all there is to know. If people haven't read the Bible, they should, if they consider themselves educated. And you could read Proverbs and find tremendous wisdom in there that cannot be scientifically proven, but when you read it, there's something in you, like a musician knows when the instrument's played right and it's beautiful. There's something in you that comes alive and knows that there's a truth there, that it's like your strings are being plucked by the master instead of by me, right? Twang when I pluck it, but probably when you play, it sounds spectacular, right? And when you encounter those truths, there's something in you that sings and knows that there is more than what I can prove mathematically or program a computer to do. Don't get me wrong, the math is gorgeous. The computer programming can be brilliant. It's inspiring, right? We want to do more. None of this squashes my desire to do science or to get knowledge through science. I'm not dissing the science at all. I grow even more in awe of what the science can do because I'm more in awe of all there is we don't know. And really at the heart of science, you have to have a belief that there's truth, that there's something greater to be discovered. And some scientists may not want to use the faith word, but it's faith that drives us to do science. It's faith that there is truth, that there's something to know that we don't know, that it's worth knowing, that it's worth working hard, and that there is meaning, that there is such a thing as meaning.
Of the 42 atheism to Christianity testimonies I've curated so far on this channel, Dr. Picard's has always sat with me, and she's right. Of course, everybody lives with faith. The laws of logic, truth, meaning, all of these are things which cannot be proven through the scientific method. Yet, daily living necessitates that we have faith. Have faith in our families, have faith in organizations, have faith in the people who surround us, in marriage. We must have faith in our spouses. Faith is a fundamental part to the lives of every single person, and mocking faith just shows someone to be out of touch with their own daily lived faith, their own hypocrisy, and their own inconsistencies. Proverbs 1:7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Christ is king, every knee will bow. Absolutely.